Hello, this is Gertrude Mache here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And today I am interviewing Diana Trujeque, the Executive Director of the Children's Cancer Fund. Diana, how are you?
Good morning, I'm good. How are you, Gertrude?
I would love you to tell us a little bit about the fund. Let's start off with how it started and how you personally got involved with the fund.
The Children's Cancer Fund of New Mexico was formed in 1972 by the pediatric oncologists at the University of New Mexico Hospital. A young child in the southern part of New Mexico was diagnosed with cancer, and his classmates wanted to do something to help the family. So they created an event that was called A Mile of Pennies, and they collected all these pennies and sent them to the pediatric oncology program, and that's the way it started. In 1984, my son, 11 years old at the time, was diagnosed with malignant histiocytosis, which was a very rare form of cancer and still is in children. And he was a junior golfer. He had competed in Junior World Golf Tournament in San Diego, California in July. We got home immediately when he went into the hospital and basically never left until he died. But while he was there, some friends came over and asked if they could do a golf tournament to help out the family. And we asked him about it, and he said he would like to do that, but only if it benefited all the children, not just him. He didn't survive long enough for us to do the golf tournament then, but after his death, we began the Trujeque Memorial Golf Tournament, which this past July, we celebrated our 31st anniversary of doing the event. It benefits the Children's Cancer Fund of New Mexico, which is a local nonprofit organization that helps children with cancer cope and their families cope with the day-to-day needs of living with and fighting cancer. Education-wise, financially, emotionally, we provide all those services. We've grown from an organization in 1972 that operated on about $1,200 a year to an organization that provides about $800,000 in services to children and families in New Mexico. A child receives a prize after enduring a painful procedure or a uncomfortable chemotherapy treatment. So they come to our office and they pick out a toy. It's not a very expensive toy, but it means a lot to the children. And sometimes we'll even have a doctor come in and say, please, we need to have a toy. He's not letting us access his port. So it's just one of those things that they earned, that they care so much about. My son did too. He used to get a check for $2, and we would go out shopping with that $2, which didn't go very far even back then, but it just was a distraction, and it made him feel better for a little while, and that's what we want to do. We want to ease the pain and the trauma of the procedures that these children have to go through. So, and then we provide also emergency services, families who can't pay rent, whose cell phone has gotten shut off, who needs their electric bill paid, or especially now that it's getting colder, the heating bills will rise, and we will help with those types of things. Tires for the car repairs. We want to make sure that no child misses his appointment because they have bald tires and are scared to travel to Albuquerque. We also provide for scholarships. Every child who has been diagnosed and treated for cancer in New Mexico at one of the pediatric oncology facilities here is eligible to receive a scholarship, which is 8 semesters of undergraduate school and 4 semesters of graduate school. Right now it is equivalent to full-time in-state tuition at the University of New Mexico, which amounts to about $6,600 a year.
I believe next year you are opening up a home or a house. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Child should die in a hotel room, and children should not have to die in the hospital, the one place that they dread, the one place that does not feel like home to them. So we wanted to create an atmosphere that was home-like, where children could have the best quality of life for the quantity of life that they have remaining, where it can feel like home, where they can bring their dog or their cat or their parakeet, where they can have their friends over. Sometimes during end of life, children will get a little spurt of energy and want to do something. Well, if you're in the hospital, you can't just leave and spend the day out and then come back. This way, they can go out to the zoo, go out and have pizza, live as normal a life as they possibly can while they're in the hospital. It is called Aaron's Place, after my son, who the night he was dying, and we didn't know that's what was happening, but he said, "Mom, please just take me home." And excuse me, he is hooked up to a bunch of things, getting blood transfusions. I said, as soon as we get these, we'll go. Had I known, I would have taken him immediately. And those are the stories that we hear from other families. If only my child had been home, he wouldn't have been so scared. He wouldn't have been so anxious about dying. So we want to make sure that that does not happen to another child. Children who live in Albuquerque or in the metro area are able to be at home, and the hospice nurses go to their home. This is what we want to have available for those families who live far away. Secondly, there are some children whose cancers and whose treatment protocols require that they stay near the hospital. Even though treatments work for some people, they affect other children in bad ways. We had a family from the southern part of the state who, for 2 years, had to live in Ronald McDonald House because every time they would get home, which was 250 miles away, he would spike a fever, then they're back on the road to come back. So it just made more sense for them to be here. There was 5 of them in a little tiny room. What we're creating here is a triplex of 2-bedroom apartments where families will be able to feel like a family, to feel like they're in a home. Construction started in October. They poured the slabs last week, and they're going to start framing this week. It's really a dream come true for our family and for our organization, because it's something that we worked very hard to do. Finally got a little spark from a couple of board members who said, let's quit talking about it and just do it. So we were very fortunate to get a long-term land lease from the University of New Mexico. So our property will be on the UNM campus, which is just probably half a mile from the hospital, and near the other facility, Presbyterian, which also has a pediatric oncology program. So all those services will be readily available and very, very close. So we're very fortunate to have an amazing group of donors, an amazing group of contractors who have donated their services and their materials in order to help us make this dream come true for ourselves personally and for our organization and our families.
Fantastic. So to anybody who is going to read this article or watch this interview online, what kind of help do you need? How can we reach out and assist you?
Well, the most important thing is, of course, money. Without that, we do nothing. Fortunately for us, we rarely have to say no to requests, but there's always more. Over 100 children are diagnosed with cancer every year in New Mexico. Because of the length of protocols and the rechecks, the University of New Mexico sees about 200 kids in a month. That means, 200 families have needs for gas, 200 families have different kinds of needs. your life just changes when your child is diagnosed with cancer, and everything can be moving along just great, and all of a sudden somebody in the family cannot work any longer. There are other children that need to be taken care of. And again, because the state is so vast and families can live so far away, it's a huge financial burden. So mainly, money. We can always use more. We write grants. We have a couple of gifts, but we rely heavily on the generosity of individuals to help our organization thrive and grow and be able to provide the services that we do. We're not a big organization. We have 3 full-time people who do this work. And 2 intern students. So we're very lean on our side. We believe that the funds we raise go directly to the families.